and square roots, cube and cube roots. Dear students, now we are going to discuss about square, square roots, cube and cube roots. Definition of square of a number. Let y be any number, then the square of the number y is denoted as y square and is defined as y square is equivalent to y into y. That is, the square of a number is that number times itself. Example, square of the number 3 is 32. That is, 3 into 3 is equivalent to 9. Square of the number minus 1 is minus 1 square. That is, minus 1 into minus 1 is equivalent to plus 1. Note that from the above definition and examples, square of any number or a non-negative number. Now, we define perfect square. A perfect square is a number that can be expressed as the product of two equal integers. For example, 16 is a perfect square because 16 is equivalent to 4 into 4, but 8 is not a perfect square since 8 cannot be written as a product of two same integers. It is clear that perfect square must be a non-negative integer. Therefore, we conclude that square of any integer is perfect square. Square root of a number. The square root of a number is a value that when multiplied by itself gives a number. A square root of a number z is a number, that is y, such that y square is equivalent to z. By this definition, it is clear that z is a non-negative number. For example, 4 and minus 4 are square roots of 16 because 4 square is equivalent to minus 4 square is equivalent to 16. There is a symbol that is called radical, which always means the positive square root. For example, square root of 36 is equivalent to plus or minus 6 because 6 square is equivalent to minus 6 the whole square, that is equivalent to 36. But square root of 36 equivalent to 6 is pronounced as positive square root of 36, simply root of 36. We have to notice that finding the square root of a number is the inverse operation of squaring that number. Methods to find square root of a given number. Finding the square root is easy for any perfect square. There are many methods to find square root of a number. Here we have to see three methods to find square root of a number. First one is repeated subtraction method. The second one is prime factorization method, and the third one is long division method. We have to see all the three methods one by one. Now let us see the repeated subtraction method. Repeated subtraction method is used to find square root of a perfect square. Before going to see the method, we discuss about one important property of perfect squares. If a natural number is a perfect square, then it has to be the sum of successive odd numbers starting from 1. For example, 4 can be written as 1 plus 3, 9 can be written as 1 plus 3 plus 5, 16 can be written as 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 and etc. Now, you can observe that in each row, sum of odd numbers is equal to its corresponding square number. That is, 4 is equivalent to 2 square, that is sum of first two odd numbers. 9 is equivalent to 3 square, that is the sum of the first three odd numbers. 16 is equivalent to 4 square, sum of first 4 odd numbers and etc. Therefore, you can find square root of a number by repeatedly subtracting successive odd numbers, that is starting from 1 from the given square number till you get 0. How many times we subtracted is the required answer. Example, find square root of 64 by repeated subtraction method. Solution. Step 1. 64 minus 1 is equivalent to 63. Step 2. 63 minus 3 is equivalent to 60. Step 3. 60 minus 5 is equivalent to 55. Step 4. 55 minus 7 is equivalent to 48. Step 5. 48 minus 9 is equivalent to 39. Step 6. 39 minus 11 is equivalent to 28. Step 7. 28 minus 13 is equivalent to 15. Step 8. 15 minus 15 is equivalent to 0. Therefore, square root of 64 is equivalent to 8. Since given number 64 was repeatedly subtracted by successive odd numbers starting from 1 and we get 0 in 8th step. This method cannot be applied for a number which is not a perfect square because we cannot get 0 at any step. Also, for larger values of perfect square, it will take long time to find answer. Second one is prime factorization method. Prime factorization method is also used to find square root of a perfect number. To find the square root of a perfect square by using the prime factorization method, we have to follow some steps. Step 1. Resolve the given number into prime factors. Step 2. Make pairs of similar factors. Step 3. Take the product of prime factors, choosing one factor out of every pair. Let us see one example. Find the square root of 484 by prime factorization method. Solution. Resolving 484 as the product of primes, we get 484 is equivalent to 2 into 2 into 11 into 11. Square root of 484 is equivalent to square root of 2 into 2 into 11 into 11, that is again equivalent to 2 into 11. Therefore, square root of 484 is equivalent to 22. Using this method, we can find square root of large perfect square numbers, but we can't find a square root of non-perfect square number because for a non-perfect square numbers, we got one or more single prime factors. So, we can't make a pair of prime numbers. The third one is the long division method. This method is used to find the square root of any non-negative number. Comparing this with other two methods, this method is easy to find square root of large perfect square numbers. When we find square root of non-perfect square numbers, we stop the procedure with a certain specified approximation of digits. Procedure. We see the procedure using the following example with a step-by-step process. First, we will see finding square root of perfect square using long division method. Example, find square root of 484 using long division method. Solution. Step 1. Place a bar over the pair of numbers starting from units digit. In case of an odd number, the leftmost digit will also have a bar. 4 with bar and 84 with bar. Step 2. Take the largest number as the divisor whose square is less than or equal to the number on the extreme left. The number on the extreme left is the dividend. Divide and write the quotient. Here the quotient is 2 and the remainder is 0. Step 3. We then bring down the number which is under the next bar to the right side of the remainder. In this case, we bring down 84. Now, 84 is our new dividend. Step 4. Now, double the value of the quotient and enter it with a blank on the right side. Step 5. Now, we have to select the largest digit for the unit place of the divisor, that is 4, such that the new number when multiplied by the new digit at units place is equal to or less than the dividend, that is 84. In this case, 42 into 2 is equivalent to 84. So, the new digit is 2. Step 6. The remainder is 0 and we have no number left. Therefore, square root of 484 is equivalent to 22. Note that we have to continue the process until bring down all the numbers marked with bars. Also, no need to bother about non-zero number as remainder because we get 0 as remainder only when the number is perfect square. We have studied about finding square root of non-negative integers using 3 different methods. In the next section, we are going to learn about how to find square root of decimal numbers. Uses of square root of a number. It has a major use in the formula for roots of a quadratic equation, quadratic fields and rings of quadratic integers which are based on square roots are important in algebra and have uses in geometry. Square roots frequently appear in mathematical formulas elsewhere as well as in many physical laws. It defines an important concept of standard deviation used in probability theory and statistics. Used in Pythagorean theorem. Next, we are going to learn about cube and cube roots. Definition of cube of a number. The cube of a number n is its third power, the result of the number multiplied by itself twice, that is n cube, that is equivalent to n into n into n. It is also the number multiplied by its square, that is n cube is equivalent to n into n square. We give one equivalent definition for understanding purpose. Let y be any number, then the cube of a number y is denoted as y cube and is defined as y cube is equivalent to y into y into y. For example, cube of the number minus 2 is minus 2 the whole cube, that is equivalent to minus 2 into minus 2 into minus 2, that is again equivalent to minus 8. Cube of the number 0.5 is 0.53 equivalent to 0.5 into 0.5 into 0.5, that is again equivalent to 0.125. Note that from the above definition and examples, cube of non-negative number is also a non-negative number and cube of negative number is also a negative number. We define perfect square after defining square of a number. Like that, now we are going to define what is called perfect cube. The answer for cube of the whole number is called perfect cube. For example, 64 is equivalent to 4 into 4 into 4, that is 4 cube. Here 64 is perfect cube. Both perfect square and perfect cube numbers. Before going to see cube root of a number, we are going to see the condition for a number which is both perfect square and perfect cube. What is the easiest way to find the number which is both a perfect square and a perfect cube? Let us find answer for this question. For a given positive number capital N to be a perfect square, it must satisfy s square is equivalent to n, where s is another positive number. Similarly, c cube is equivalent to n for a perfect cube. Therefore, if n is equivalent to s square, that is again equivalent to c cube, then n is both perfect square and perfect cube. Thus, if n is a sixth power, then this would certainly work. For example, if n is equivalent to a6, then s is equivalent to a cube and c is equivalent to a square, which implies that n is equal to x square, that is again equivalent to c cube. Thus, n is the sixth power. It is the easiest way to find solution. Let us see a simple example. Consider 2 to the power of 6 equivalent to 64, which is both perfect square and perfect cube. Since 64 is equivalent to 2 square to the whole cube, that is equivalent to 4 cube. So, we can easily find a number which is both a perfect square and a perfect cube. Cube root of a number. To find the cube root of a number, you want to find some number that when multiplied by itself twice gives you the original number. That is, a cube root of a number is z. Then cube of a number y is y into y into y, that is equivalent to z. Simply y cube is equivalent to z. By this definition, z may be either negative nor non-negative number. For example, 4 and minus 4 are cube roots of 64 and minus 64 respectively, because 4 cube is equivalent to 4 into 4 into 4, that is equivalent to 64. Minus 4 to the whole cube is equivalent to minus 4 into minus 4 into minus 4, that is equivalent to minus 64. Notice that the symbol for cube root is the radical sign with a small 3 called the index. Above and to the left, that is pronounced as cube root. Also note that in square root an index of 2 is understood and usually not written. By the definitions of cube and cube roots, it is clear that finding cube roots is a reverse process of finding cube of a number. We may find cube root by using prime factorization method. Example, find the cube root of 15,625. Solution, by using prime factorization, we get 15,625 is equivalent to 5 into 5 into 5 into 5 and again into 5 into 5. Therefore, cube root of 15,625 is equivalent to 5 into 5, that is equivalent to 25. In finding square root for two similar factors, we have taken one factor. Similarly, to find cube root for three similar factors, we have to take one factor.